Hey, RetconRaider here, and welcome back to Warhammer 40k Rogue Trader. As today, we make our final approach on Kiava Gamma. We've already got our foothold in the sector, so at this point we really just need to scan these two planets, then clear that fleet. At that point, I suppose we'll take a quick break so I can finalize whatever we're doing with Heinrichs. Still on the fence with that, but, you know, we'll get there. But first things first. Okay, dead world clear. Oh, here we go. Atli. And a point of interest. This dwarf planet is marked on the Von Valancius Protectorate charts as Atli, and serves as a backup source of water for the habitable worlds of neighboring systems. Due to the abundance of bacteria proliferating in the Atli hydrosphere, the extraction of ice was stopped half a century ago, but much to your officer's surprise, the augurs detected an unidentified mining rig deep underground. Presumably, the excavation is aimed at extracting clay minerals near the planet's core, enriched with iron and other metals. Open hailing frequencies? The Extractium turns out to be Incendia Corda's latest investment, whose domain is located just within a few jumps from the Chronox system. While this world is of little value to the Von Valancius dynasty, your officers see this gesture as an attempt to test the boundaries of the newly minted Rogue Trader's leniency. Magos Pascal notes the unusual composition of Atli's core. Subsequent development will allow the extraction of rare refractory metals. Heeding his advice, the Rogue Trader decides to keep the Extractium for himself. Your people easily assume control as the frightened workers and the token security crew do not even attempt to resist. The Extractium's machines are restarted shortly after. The amassed containers filled with precious ore are delivered to the flagship's cargo hold. Lovely. So what did that actually get us? Oh, plasteel. And a fairly trivial amount at that, but I do notice we also did gain an extra Extractium, which honestly, that alone is well worth it, considering how rare they make them now. At least in Act 2. And with our planets thusly scanned, let's tend to this crude blockade. Alright, what are we up against? Oh my. 5 enemy ships. 3 destroyers, 2 raiders. Broken up into 2 clusters, 3 an immediate threat, 2 further back. Fortunately, it does look like they're on the frailer side. Yeah, we should be able to knock out this first raider on approach. Though range might be an issue. Let's see here. Okay, yeah, we can tag it twice, but we'll have to use the range extender. Which means no vulnerability scan. And raider out. Thus is the fate of all raiders who turn against the RetconRaider. And twist. That should keep us relatively safe. Oh, wow. Better range than expected. Slight ding on hull, no big deal. Yeah, barely got through the shields. Then these two should be too far. Yes. Sword 3 on approach. Very minor hit, but they did knock out the shields, which opens a path for our salvo. Destroyer out. Now let's clear Destroyer 2 and get some distance from the second group. Destroyer 2 out. Hook left. And then we'll slide, pull ourselves a little further away. Yeah, that should be more than enough. Oh, wow. Okay. Really underestimating the range on those lances. Torpedoes out. Drop Destroyer 3. Nice, nice. And tear up Raider 2. Ah, man. I was really hoping that would at least break its morale, but... Yeah. Sorry, Sword 3. Better you than me. To those who are about to die.
Smite the enemies of humanity.
Etc., etc. That is a shame. 180% Void Heretic trophies plus a new assault scanner. Oh, and level up. Nice. Let's top off our hull, then we'll see what new goodies are up for grabs. Oh, interesting. So I guess ultimate crew abilities are just available every level up now. Or at least every level up that has a post ability. Okay. I mean, we haven't even used the ultimate ability we already have, but sure. Let's go one ultimate and one standard. And you know what? Let's go boarding party. The chance to lock down an enemy ship is certainly appealing. Though I will say, Empyrean Storm also has its appeal. And then for our standard, we'll go with either Shallow Jump or Expeditious Reload. Expeditious Reload. And let's make sure we've maxed out all of our abilities here. Okay, here we go. We've got an upgrade available for new heading, which just reduces the cooldown, but we'll take it. That can still make a difference. And one for vulnerability scan. Which slightly increases the effectiveness. Yeah, we'll take it. 5% isn't much, but it can make a difference. Okie dokie. Fleet cleared, upgrade complete. So now there's nothing stopping us from touching down on Kiava Gamma, except for Heinrich's pesky level ups. So yeah, give me a sec, I'll go pore over the patch notes again, see if I can put something together. I will say, while I do appreciate Owlcat putting so much attention towards balancing and bug fixing, it does make it a bit of a chore to wade through these respecs. Be right back. And we're back. And full disclosure, I got frustrated and I just basically ended up turning Heinrichs into kind of a pseudo-Abelard with a few psychic self-buffs on the side. I mean, let's be brutally honest here, we're not going to be using Heinrichs all that much. We're only using him here because he's essentially being forced on us. And since we've got him subbing in for Abby, might as well just build him to play the part. We just need someone who can tank and handle our physical skills. And to that extent, he's even borrowing most of Abby's gear, though I did fit in some of the newer stuff we picked up. The Psyker Breastplate, the Ancient Force Sword. We'll see how it works out. I just really prefer not to lean into the broken meme builds if we can help it. Sorry, Abby, you're sitting this one out. Just keep an eye on the ship for me, will you? Come on, Heinrichs, let's get this over with. Heinrich frowns as his eyes sweep over the Manufactorum's dark halls. No solemn ceremony, no personal meeting with Magi. I fear we are too late, and we won't be dealing with clandestine heretics after all. Binaric arias of alarm stream out of Pascal's Vox synthesizer. In their neurotic, broken rhythm, you sense a call to arms and a warning of danger. I mean, Heinrichs, I feel like that was obvious the second we got attacked as soon as we entered the sector, but just out of curiosity, what were you expecting? I assumed I would conduct an investigation and track down traces of the cult of the Final Dawn. I believe I can discard that plan now. Both the incident with the scrap code and the manner in which we were forced to land on Kiava Gamma indicate that the situation has taken a turn for the worse. Nevertheless, I must use this opportunity and try to determine what the cult was doing on an industrial world, and what specifically interested them on a planet full of sacred machines and servants of the Omnissiah. First, we must find someone who can tell us what's going on here. Heinrichs pauses, straining to hear something. If, that is, there is anyone left here to speak to. Fair enough. I certainly wasn't going to just walk away. Any suggestions on where to start? To start, let's look around and find out why the arrival of the rogue trader did not elicit the usual fuss. To speak plainly, I would not count on a warm welcome at this rate. Better keep your weapon at the ready. Gosh, thanks, Heinrichs, and here I was thinking of leaving my gun back on the ship. Come on, let's have a look around. The interrogator nods, continuing to stare into the surrounding gloom. One sec, let me just rearrange our hotbars and formations and such. Okie dokie. Prelude? Don't mind if I do.
This explorator is blessed with multifunctionality.
Nice, nice. Ah, yes, and this I do vaguely recall. A gaggle of corrupted servitors, just waiting to be recycled and or otherwise repurposed. The servitors before you appear as if they are performing some elaborate and confusing dance. Striking strange poses, they rock back and forth with their arms bent at peculiar angles. Upon your approach, one of the servitors jerks and tries to turn in your direction. The rest immediately repeat the motion. The strange scene is complemented by a grating sound, dull clicks just at the edge of your hearing, coming from an unknown source. Yurliet glances at the servitors and looks away. Many of the customs of the Monkey are terrible, but some are more insane and disgusting than the rest. I mean, I'm not going to say you're wrong, but don't you Eldari also recycle your dead? What with your bone rates and soul crystals and whatnot? You have reduced your kin to the level of mechanisms. You love mechanisms, do you not? You strive to make everything empty, cold, convenient. Yurliet's mouth twists in revulsion. I mean, again, you're not wrong. I mean, look, if it were up to me, we wouldn't use servitors at all, but alas, even as rogue trader, my influence only goes so far. Yurliet stares at you in amazement, tilting her head to the side like a bird. I did not expect such words from you. You are interesting, Monkey. Well, gosh, thanks. Based on a cursory inspection, you conclude that these servitors were designed for precision work on an assembly line, possibly circuit production. The number of high-quality, expensive augments in their bodies greatly exceeds basic standards. The servitor's hand moves. It is slowly reaching toward you. Yeah, let's maybe not lean into that. Gently and swiftly, you step away from the servitor. It stretches out its hand as if trying blindly to touch you in the space that you have already left, and stills once more. It seems its brain is incapable of quickly processing changes in its surroundings. Hello? Don't suppose you can actually understand me? The closest servitor twitches and the others follow suit. It is clear the entire group is connected by a single machine spirit, and something caused it to stop working. One of the servitors must have a fault in its cogitator, or some other augment, and that fault then ended up affecting the whole group. Soon enough, you locate the source of the clicking. On the back of one of the servitors, a tumor, oozing with murky ichor, is growing straight through the augments. The relays, coated in inflamed tissue, are blocked, hence the reason for the persistent clicking. A mutation in a servitor. Tech priests typically reject the use of flawed soft tissue for their constructs. Perhaps something has caused this aggressive growth. And quite recently. Well, I don't like it, so cut it out. Without much difficulty, you cut the excess flesh from the mechanisms. The liberated relay lets out a rapid burst of clicks. Then a spark flashes before your eyes, and something begins to hum deep inside the servitor's flesh. As if on cue, the servitors stop moving, lower their arms, and turn to you. Crew 24, second lane of the Manufactorum. Commencing work. State your request. The servitor addressing you is looking past you, and the voice is coming from the box built into its throat. Yeah, thank you for your service. Your work here is done. You can shut down. Yeah, I mean, obviously we could have put them to better tactical use, but you know, that would have gone against Valen's established character, so gotta commit to the bit. Let's see what else we've got here. The Cogitator's panel has dozens of breakers, handles, switches, and other control mechanisms. You discover the local data crypt with contents collected by either previous operators or the machine spirit itself. Using your access, you study the archives stored on this cogitator. Praise be to the Omnissiah, whose might and power transforms dead metal to make manifest the holy visions of the machine god. The new protocols received at the Synod from the great Fabricator Censor have been executed, despite those who shuddered at the thoughts of changing a standard procedure. Embold in your hearts those whose inner weakness breeds errors in personal calculations, for the Fabricator Censor is the conductor of the higher will, and the wisest among us. Today, at the Supreme Assembly, the Fabricator Censor unsealed the vaults of the sacred designs and committed those deemed redundant or heretical to purifying disposal. Today, dozens of standard procedures were lost, to be replaced by new ones, which the Fabricator Censor will deliver to those who demonstrate the greatest devotion to serving the truth. But the databanks contain no notion of truth. Could there have been, may the all-knowing one, the gracious keeper forgive me, an error in the Fabricator Censor's calculations? And he meant to say, serving the quest for knowledge? Yeah, that's probably what he meant. I'm sure there's nothing to worry about. Your knowledge of machine spirits is sufficient to trick the system and subdue it to your will. A false query, a crafty manipulation of the controls, and you get what you want. The instrumental terminals have already been replaced, and the material delivery systems are being prepared for divine transformation. The execution of the new procedure has been delayed, for there are some in our ranks who doubt the words of the Fabricator Censor and his votaries, and there are some who are not susceptible to the enhancement protocol that carries our tech comrades to enlightenment. May the deliverers of fate be merciful to them. Inaction is death, and I must be returning to our great work. Praise be to the truth that will reveal the path to the knowledge shrouded in darkness. See, I told you it would work out. I mean, it is slightly weird you keep starting your logs mid-sentence, but I think we still got the general gist. Before you is an ancient but wholly typical console, intended for use by people not trained in the mysteries of ministering to machine spirits. The cogitator is completely silent, but as you approach, you sense the warmth emanating from its metallic casing, a telltale sign that the machine is working. You discover the local data crypt with contents collected by either previous operators or the machine spirit itself. The vast data repositories contain millions of strings related to receiving raw materials for processing, shipping processed metals, and schedules for sacred rituals to be performed over the machines coming off the production line. The Manufactorum once operated like one gargantuan, well-oiled mechanism. The last record is from 2 months ago. Interesting. Okay, so not really much to glean there, but it does ever so slightly fine-tune our timeline. We now know that this all started roughly 2 months ago. Though obviously left in a vacuum, that doesn't really tell us much. We'll need more data for context.
Your mind is swathed in blue-grey smoke, Master Van Calox. A heavy color for heavy thoughts, I presume?
You are a dangerous person, Lady Exsellsior. Or all navigators are, but your abilities place you in a special category.
Yeah, well, I mean, you're not wrong.
Always keep your eye on the prize.
A massive cogwheel constantly drives the colossal gear system, which is lost in the haze. You hear dull thuds from within the thick metal, as if some process, endlessly pounding, is running in the depths of these pipes. Tubular. Athletics check. Decent margin for success. I was a little worried Heinrichs wouldn't be up to snuff there. Ooh. The 16 Universal Laws. The Mysteries. I think this might actually be new. A tome containing revelations of the Omnissiah, recorded in special binaric dialect. Only a member of the cult Mechanicus with a key to this cipher may partake of the wisdom of the machine god. Oh, okay, so we can't actually access it. Interesting. Though it is marked as a quest item, so, I mean, it must serve some purpose. Oh, hello there. The lumps protruding under the tech priest's bedraggled red robe hint at the mechanisms implanted in his body. You see his haggard and sickly face under the archaic respirator augmetic. I... A click, a clank, a barely audible hiss. And only then the tech priest's vox finishes the word. Identification. Request denied. Pascal turns to you, his visor gleaming crimson. Registering anomalous behavior within this servant's organics and an invalid noosphere response. This unit is compromised. You carefully study the robe-clad figure. A black border of necrosis spreads out from around the tech priest's implants. For some reason, his body is rejecting the true flesh. A moment later, you recognize the dominant smell in the bouquet of scents permeating the air around the tech priest. The stench of rotten meat. Phew. This guy smells worse than a grox fermented in spent promethium. I bet he tastes even worse. Now, Adira, I hate to ask, but why is that the first place your mind would go? Pascal's voice hisses with a hint of surprise. Consumption of the flesh of members of the Adeptus Mechanicus is not recommended, irrespective of their smell or compromised state. Well said, Bask. You and me, bud. Same brain space. You first. Who am I talking to? The tech priest clicks his relay. Magos Custos of the Machine Sanctum Tier 2O. Identification. Oh, sorry, Custos. I'm only compatible with 3O or higher. But tell me, what exactly is going on out here? Why was there no one here to meet us? Why isn't the governor answering our hails? Also, a bunch of people tried to kill us on our way in, but that's actually pretty par for the course. Denied. The irregularity demands execution of Protocol 3942 in accordance with the Fabricator's Censor's decree. Well, gosh, you know, it turns out I'm not really familiar with that one, but if you'd like to introduce me to this Fabricator Censor of yours, maybe we can straighten things out. Anticipated process disrupted. Execution of disposal protocol recommended. The tech priest draws his weapon, and as his robe opens, your senses are hit by a fetid wave of rot. Alright, well, if you insist. And here we go. Yes. I do recall this primarily being a combat dungeon back in Alpha. Though I also want to say I remember it being a bit heavier than this. This feels like it's a pretty light warm-up. Which I suppose is fair. That does give me a chance to adapt to using Heinrichs rather than Abby. Based on how I built him, I'm assuming slightly less durable, but also slightly more deadly. Though it may be a moot point. Really comes down to whether any of these guys are even still alive by the time he gets to go. Downside of dump statting agility, I suppose.
Was it you? Or...
Nice tag. Let's get them focused on Heinrichs. Nice, nice. Spirit Drape does work on the bonus turn. That's good to know. And I did not take the talent that bleeds excess healing over into temps. Wanted to, just dropped it in favor of Blades of Light and Bio Distortion. I'm sure I'll be fine. What's the worst that could happen?
Isn't this a job for the serfs?
Now Pass blocks down the other Magos.
Advancing.
Ow. Also, ow. Though, it doesn't actually look like it made it through temps, so... Oh, well. Well, that one definitely did. I mean, to be fair, I knew going into it that Heinrichs would definitely be more fragile. But my hope was that we'd be able to offset it with regen and self-heals. Though I suppose the downside on that is potentially suffering injuries and traumas, but we do have a fair few trauma kits, so I guess we're covered there as well. Nice, nice. Less nice. Heinrichs, I'm gonna need you to step it up there, bud. Honestly, he's doing slightly better than I expected.
the throat.
Oof.
Vengeance
Right,
will be
right.
swift.
Okay. So these guys explode. Noted. Not, I suppose, that'll change my approach. Keep it up, Heinrichs. You're doing great. I believe in you, probably. Let's go ahead and punch out that Magos on left. Free up Pascal.
You should have thought twice before crossing me.
Oh, close. Oh, actually, that works out just fine. We'll shout down the Magos, and Spillover should finish off the Servitors. Since, as previously established, they will explode. Sorry, Heinrichs. Well, I mean, Nadira's probably not, but you get the idea.
Will do.
Nice, nice. Not the best first contact with the world's inhabitants. I hope we will find someone more able to hold the conversation. Willingly or not. Oh, wow, okay. He's actually just fine. I am mildly impressed. Let's wrap this up.
I'm done with this one.
Honestly, oh, level up. Nice. Yeah, you know, slightly rough around the edges, but not bad. Higher ranks definitely take some getting used to, especially with the wonky build I saddled him with, but yeah, we really just kind of waltzed through that. We'll see if that persists as we push on to grander and tougher fights. Bridge is raised, so we have to find some way to bring it back down. So logically, I suppose the elevator over here. But first, one sec, whilst I get a gander at our level up options. Should be pretty straightforward. And we're back. And yes, this is indeed our ability level. Our third Tier 2 ability. So, of course, we'll go ahead and grab Killing Edge for Valen. That's one that's been on our to-do list for a while now. You know, picking it up just in time for the giant nerfs it just got hit with. But still, can't possibly be as disappointing as Fainting Attack was. But I guess we'll see. And yes, I think I already mentioned it before, but we did respec out of that one a while ago. Then after that, we've got Heinrichs, and as we saw during that last fight, he is a bit more of a damage sponge than Abby. So we'll go ahead and grab Regen. That'll help keep him on his feet a bit more reliably. For Pascal, he is the only one of our 3 grand strats actually stuck with taking a stratagem. And once again, I'm not really thrilled by any of these, but we'll go ahead and grab Stronghold Stratagem. I can see theoretical uses for that one. Especially while we've got Heinrichs in tow. Next we've got Juliet. And she actually picks up a common talent as well, which, as boring as it may be, will go towards basic skill awareness. As aforementioned, we want to bump up all those skills. And then for her actual ability, we'll go ahead and grab Cull the Bold. That's a fairly solid debuff, at least on paper. But again, we'll see how it actually works out in practice. As for Cassie, I think it's about time we bumped up her offense, so I think we'll grab Held in My Gaze. That's a nice single target attack ability, but more importantly, it also acts as a prereq for the various other higher end attack abilities, which we may or may not end up grabbing later down the line. And Adira. Nothing really all that notable here. We'll have her pick up regen as well. Heinrich's mainly picked it up for himself, but Adira is picking it up for pretty much everyone else. And that's it. Level up complete. Yeah, that was like 2 minutes, so definitely very straightforward. We are almost at time, but let's push on at least a little bit farther. Part of me really wants to pause so I can fix those hot bars, but I think I can resist the urge for at least another moment or two. Oh, actually, it might be a moot point. I think this I do recall. Oh, wow. I'm not gonna lie, that was a lot easier than I was expecting it to be. I thought we'd have to circle all the way around. Huh, yeah. It has been like a year since Alpha, but I feel like back then we did have to go all the way around the platform through this, like, veritable gauntlet of hazards to bring the bridge back down. I want to say that's what the athletics check over there was for. There was someone here. It's a good place to hide. Or to set up another ambush. Blood mixed with machine oil is barely visible on the dark floor. Right, okay, I do remember this. We've got a survivor over there. The one, Heinrich's implied we should look for earlier. So we do still have good reason to go over there, even if it's not to bring the platform down. Alright, okay. Well, that is slightly more involved than what we've got time for, so I feel like this might be a good place to call it. We've got our foothold in the foundry, we've got Heinrich's ever so slightly broken in. We've got a vague idea of what's going on here. Yeah, I feel like that's a decent amount of progress. Well, we'll hit the pause button for now. I will take care of some quick off-screen bookkeeping, get these hotbars reorganized before they drive me insane, and we will pick up here next time as we get slightly steamed. See you then. Oh, and special thanks to the Raiders, the fine folks who help make these videos possible, including but not limited to Eerie B23, Revenant, Alois, Dragon Matrix 7, Drakiith, EgonAlter, Exsellsior, Gottlieb, James Trimmier, Kazorm, Mark Giemza, Nathan Welch Jr., OverlordPherom, RandomPassrby, RobbyB, Tomasz Piątkowski, Triphoppenskip, and Valinrook. Thanks for your support, guys. That said, if you'd also like to help support the channel, then feel free to push the buttons that do the things. Trust me, it does make a difference. Or you could even check out the PayPal, the Patreon, the Nexus GG, or the YouTube memberships. Links are in the description.
I'm done with this one.